You guys hear me?
Good morning, afternoon to everybody out there in Wormland
Evening.
Radio Land. This is Just Pure Talk with that's episode 47, I believe, and we may be wrong, but we'll doc check it. I think we're at 47. And Verm's not making it today. He's getting his trailer put back together for some reason, and we'll go from there. How you guys doing today?
I'm back after quite a
hiatus.
Yeah, but
are we going to see you more often?
Rotator cuff surgery. If you can see
the
marks
nice.
And the bruising under my arm, I can't really raise my arm yet, so I have no use of my right arm other than from the elbow down. So just enough to handle the mouse.
So this works.
Say you can. You can still do this in the mouse.
Yeah, but at least I got my left. So
it's a piece of strange every night.
It's Mary Palmer's sister right here. So, but yeah. So otherwise, I'm doing fine. I'm off work until September because of this surgery. So the doctor told me yesterday that you aren't going back to even light duty till September. Probably around September 9th. And
your job's not liking that.
And so I'm like, hey, they're paying me workman's comp. I get 80%.
Yeah, but still your job's not liking it. Your boss is not liking it.
Oh, no, but I got promoted anyway.
Are you the boss?
A funny story. So I get hurt at work. I'm the safety lead. And tear my rotator
safety
cuff.
Guy got hurt.
Yeah.
That's
it doesn't
safety related.
Well I get a call from my boss and she says, Joe quit. He went to work from waste management. And so she said, we need to fill his spot, and you're next in line for filling that spot. God, why is my vest keep popping up? So they said, you're next in line in seniority for his spot. And I went, all right, great. So I moved into my boss's old spot because he left, and which just puts more responsibility on my shoulders. And I'm like, great. So I get hurt and I get promoted. And so I'm like, hey, maybe I should get hurt more often. I'll work my way to corporate.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it's done. But anyways, yeah, I'm, but there's really no corporate in, I guess corporate would be, whoever the head of the civil service is. But
that's all corporate, dude. Are you kidding me? Civil service is corporate.
But loving it under the new Trump back in power. We have tons. We have a spending bill that is just outstanding. We got all the equipment we need now. We replaced a lot of stuff that we didn't have and upgraded. And it's just like, it's the big, beautiful bill is getting ready to come. Well, some of that's already filtering in.
Okay.
And then, so the Navy's loving it. We're loving it. God, I have not seen the Navy this active since the last Trump administration, and which is awesome to see all the planes and jets and everything coming in and out every day instead of everyone sitting there trying to figure out what bathroom to use. So
that's awesome.
In fact, we got told by our new supervisor, our new head person from the Pentagon came down, introduced himself, and Brett is his name. He was a former Marine F-18 pilot, and he had combat tours in Iraqi freedom and all that crap. So he was saying that he retired from the Marines as a colonel full bird. And he and he's like, I'm going to tell it to you straight. He goes, the days of men wearing dresses, women trying to pretend they're men, the whole ideology and wokeism and
we'll see how long it lasts.
All that is, yeah. He said, well, as far as Trump's in power, they said it's gone. There will be no more of these classes and things. He said no more COVID vaccinations.
Well,
It's all
we'll,
gone.
we'll,
So-
we'll take it from there and see what goes on. What's going on with you, Doc?
Mm,
Still
I
sitting
get
at
to
home?
Go back to work.
Bombing?
Yep. I get to go back to work 2 days a week. My mom was gonna be nice and drive me.
Oh, that's nice. That's
And
nice.
They were happy about that. So I go back to office Monday and then Thursday.
That's good. You'll be able to get all this stuff done. What's going on with you, Truck Sam?
I don't know much. Just driving down the road, making deliveries.
No. Okay, well, let's get right to the brass tacks. I'm sure everybody brought their articles that they're supposed to bring. No? Okay. Well, I'll get
World War
started.
III?
So we bombed the shit out of Iran.
Yeah.
About time.
And
America
I'm
first.
I'm kind of torn on it.
Really?
I am, because part of me, I understand why we did it because of the imminent threat. Because I wouldn't trust Iran with a squirt bottle, let alone a nuclear missile. But the other part of me is going, it's my country. I have the freedom to do what I want, and you guys should butt the F out.
Well, there's a different story to that, because what I've been looking at and reading and all that is, if Iran gets nuclear, Saudi Arabia says, well, we're going to get some too. So
Well,
there's
duh.
more to
India and
Yeah.
Pakistan have nukes. We're not stopping them. Korea has
Well-
North Korea has nuclear weapons, and we didn't bomb their facilities.
Yeah, that kind of baffles me on that one.
That's because North
Well-
Korea smart enough not to use them.
Well,
Iran,
I
on
think
the other hand,
also
is not.
because Iran is the number one state sponsors terror, and
Yeah.
one thing
Yeah.
that they
Once they get that nuclear weapon, they're going to use it on Israel, guaranteed.
yeah, and I think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what they were trying to avoid,
Yeah.
and they're
That's why
also
I
trying
said
to
I'm torn. I'm torn on the two sides. The freedom libertarian side of me says, build your nuclear weapon, build your nuclear stuff up. But then there's the conservative side of me goes, I totally understand why you got the crap bombed out of you.
Well, another thing that makes me kind of torn, it's something where they are pretty well known to support terrorism. Now, what happens if they give out a dirty bomb, or get into another country and they use a nuke, that given by Iran? I mean, I'm sorry, but if you
I
can't,
think if you do your research and look up all the countries that sponsor terrorist organizations,
like
you're going to be shocked.
Saudi Arabia,
The United
all
States. Who do you think sponsored the Taliban for all those years?
we did.
Oh, Doc, you raised your hand. Answer that question, would you?
The United States of America
We-
against
Yep,
Russia.
we trained.
We full on sponsored
Oh, my
Saddam Hussein, not Saddam, but what's his name? Beard dude that got smoked.
Osama bin Laden.
Osama bin Laden.
But speaking of that, I seen a funny picture the other
We
day.
trained them.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
it had a picture of an F8 or F14, and it said, "My parents' tax dollars." And then I had a picture of that same F14 getting bombed, my tax dollars.
Hi, Big Timber. Nice to see you around. It's I don't know. A lot of things have been.
I think what it is simply put, we can put it this way. We're most of us here were in the military, and having been in the military, we know when it comes to talking to foreign countries, especially countries that are terrorist nations, one thing you got to remember: we don't negotiate with terrorists. Biden did, Obama did, but we don't. I mean,
Oh, no, we do negotiate.
We gave
No,
them 60 days. We
we negotiate
it's
on the end of an
more-
explosive weapon.
more of telling them, hey, you got 60 days or else we're going to bomb. It's not really a negotiation where we say, well, okay, how
We
about
didn't
you?
say we were going to bomb them. We just told
But-
them, hey, 60 days to get your stuff on point, and if you don't,
Well, what I'm saying is we're kind of in the idea selling business, and if we can't get that idea across, if we can't sell the enemy the idea of democracy and peace and cooperation, then we put a bullet in their head. I mean,
that's why I think there needs to be a regime change there.
Well, and that's why you got the other day. In fact, a good thing you said that, because the other day I was reading in the news about the exiled Prince of Iran, who his father was exiled when they had the big Ayatollah thing in the '79, and
Iran back in '79 was the most westernized country over there. I'm talking cars, mini skirts, the whole deal. It looked like a slice of America in the middle of the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
And the Ayatollah came to power, and it all went away.
Well, they had if you read about it, there was a revolution. The Ayatollah
revolution going backwards is not a revolution.
They took over. They took over and forced out into exile the crown prince of Iran, whose son today is willing to. He wants to return Iran to the pre-Ayatollah days of, freedom and Western democracy, and that and do away with all the terrorism sponsoring and all that, and be open up oil trade and all that stuff. The thing is that they got to figure out how to get rid of that. He even said there's the biggest problem is getting. You can't tell. You can't talk these people down from their position. He said that the Ayatollah and his people will fight to the death. They will not ever step down, regardless of what, if the whole United Nations and NATO came together and said, yeah, you guys got to step down.
Well, and there's a good way to make them step down.
Yeah. Assassination.
Red dot to the forehead. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say Willie Pete the whole country.
Yeah.
Turn it into
that's what happens when you have fanatic religion going to government.
Oh yeah, their president is only a puppet president. It's Ayatollah who's in charge.
He's totally in charge of the whole country.
Yeah, and when they kicked out the Shah in '79, that's when it all just turned on their head, and we had the Iran-Contra affair and all that stuff with Ali.
That's why all the Hamas guys are running back to the Ayatollah and all the, But I guess Iran and Israel have a ceasefire now. Not quite sure. Are they finally on a ceasefire?
That's because the United States got involved.
And Trump said that if Iran violates the ceasefire, he said they will be met with a force 10 times worse than what they were met with, with their nuclear sites being bombed.
I found it kind of ironic that, Iran says, okay, ironic with Iran, is that they went on this ceasefire, and like less than an hour later, a missile flies off out of somewhere, doesn't hit anything. Israel says, screw you, and bombs the ever-living piss out of the radar.
Hold on. They never bombed them. They did say that Trump got on the phone and told Netanyahu, turn your fighters around or your bombers around.
They bombed them.
No, they never did. That was a liberal news media lie.
Okay.
They actually turned their planes around and listened to Trump for once. And then Trump said, don't worry about it. It told Netanyahu it didn't hurt anything. I think the missile actually was launched at Qatar, and it landed and it was shot down by a Patriot missile battery. And that's not to say anything between them.
They launched all
when they said
the U.S. bases.
I think they gave them 8 hours to till the ceasefire when it was announced till it happened. And in those 8 hours, that's when Israel bombed the shit out of. They dropped more munitions than they had at any time on top of military targets throughout Iran. And then At the same time, Iran was firing missiles at Israel at a huge rate and drone attacks. But, and then as soon as like you said, as soon as the ceasefire time came up, Israel stopped, but then Iran fired a missile at Qatar. We shot it down. And then Israel was like, oh, you know what? We're going to, you guys violated ceasefire. We're going to go bomb you. Trump was like, no, don't. He's like, turn around. So then they turned around. And so far, they're both, it's a very hostile environment, but they're both listening to Trump. So, it's anyone's guess how long it's going to last before someone gets on their high horse and decides to
be
fire off.
the best way to solve problems like that, I hate to say this, is basically you got to get rid of both countries. It'd solve a lot of issues.
Only one country.
It's easier said than
Only,
done.
I don't
only
think so.
one country is really causing issues.
Well,
If the whole world has a problem with one person, you don't get a problem with the other people that he has the problem with. You get rid of the person that's a problem.
Well, you gotta be fair about that. It's something where you gotta,
Truck Sam, if you're walking around and punching everyone in the face, just as an example, we're not getting rid of you and everyone that you punch in the face. We're going to get rid of you. And not saying you do that. Obviously, you're a better person than that.
What did Israel do to get attacked?
I
don't know.
That would be my question. I mean, Israel.
But
what they did to get attacked. What they did to get attacked is they were Jewish.
Exactly.
And the same thing that's happened to all the Coptic Christians that are over there. They were all killed by, they're killed or they're living in fear of the Muslims. So it's not Israel that's causing the issue. It's Iran that's causing the issue. It's Hamas that is, causing the issue.
It seems like nobody can't get their heads out of their butt and basically say, "Hey,
Iran and Saudi Arabia and the other countries said that as long as Israel is there in the Middle East, they're going to try to kill them."
Yeah. So maybe what Israel needs to bring out is firing squads. And if you throw a rock at the Jewish military or whatever, they just put that person against the wall and go blammo.
No, that's too nice. I think we need that.
Firing squad is too nice.
No. Hold on. Back in the day when they had witches, they used to put them in iron coffins and drop them in the sea.
It's a waste of iron. Bullets are cheaper.
Bullets might be cheaper, but you could put them in a fishnet and weigh it down.
Well,
why am I going to ruin my fishnet?
We could be as bad. I mean, we could go medieval like ISIS did in Iraq, and when we came up on a bridge and we saw bodies hanging upside down on fire, we
could deport them without a parachute.
Well, we done worse than that. We used to do cross bullets.
I say take them for a long, slow train ride up to the top, and for a quick drop and a stop.
Well, it's something where I'm getting tired of war. And it's something where
you've never even been to war.
No, but I'm saying I'm getting tired of the cost of war, loss of life, always the upturn. We got to do something to stop it. We got to genocide one country or something and say, okay, if you do it again, we don't genocide the next country that starts a war.
Yeah, but
maybe it's justified. That's why they started the war.
You're always going to have someone out there power hungry that and you got to remember that in a lot of cases, as a wise man once said, Cicero in Rome said, the sinews of war is infinite wealth and and power. So that's what drives a lot of these people to war, and especially in these third world countries, because they are poor. They want wealth, they want power, and they get in these positions like the Ayatollah, or
I got a feeling
go back to Hitler. I mean, look at Hitler.
Why we have these wars and this is going to be an off the wall thing. It's going to be so off the wall. You're going to be like, Sam has lost his mind. I think the reason we have these wars is for all these private banks to make money. Like the Federal Reserve, like all the other banks around the world that are owned by these super rich, wealthy families and all their partners, and that the government has zero control over. Those are the guys that are making money.
Well, yeah. Well, look at the Bidens. The Bidens a great example. They made billions of dollars off of freaking the Ukraine incident. You know, that would have never happened had Trump been president for another 4 years.
All the congressmen
never would have happened.
Made billions off of it too, because they did the exact same. And I'm talking both parties. I'm not talking one or the other. Both parties.
Well, that's why they all wanted
just
to support
as guilty.
It.
Well, look.
And then when Trump got back into office, they didn't want they booed him because he wanted to end that. He said, I want to negotiate a peace between, Ukraine and Russia and end this conflict.
All I'm gonna say is that when the Civil Rights Act came out in '64, the Democrats filibustered it for like 60 days, and so those guys flip-flop so much. They flip-flop for wherever the money's at.
Well, look at George. Look at the Bush family. Same thing. Look at Iraq.
And the other thing I'll say is Trump's the only president ever to never own slaves. No, you think I'm kidding? Obama's family had slaves.
Oh yeah, the white side of his family had slaves.
Mm-hmm. Every other president has had slaves in their history.
And here, I'll trip you guys up. Some of you might know this, but some history that died a horrible death because certain people didn't want it to ruin their narratives on the left. But I remember when I was a kid, we were taught this in history class about slavery. Two of the largest plantations were owned by freed black people. One was in Louisiana and the other was in Texas, and they had actually more slaves in servitude than any white person had in the entire South. They were two.
Well, yeah,
and
there's a whole college doctoral dissertation about this, about the amount of slaves that were owned by their own people.
Well, and it was their own people that sold them into slavery in Africa. An African tribe conquered. Yeah,
it's all about money. The only reason we went to Africa to get slaves is because they were selling them. No, it's because they were selling them.
Well, it was
not like we went to go round them up. We didn't have to go pick them up. They were selling them.
The British sold them. So the British got rid of their slavery, but they never got rid of the slave trade because the British government was making bank selling these. Oh yeah. So they would, and the French were too.
Follow the money, right?
So an African tribe in the Congo would conquer another African tribe in the Congo, and then they'd sell them to these slave traders for goods or money or whatever they needed. And then they'd be shipped over here, and then English or French slave trade ships would show up in our ports and sell these people to slave owners. And what another thing is that before this, before I think when did slavery end in the North?
A year after it ended for slavery in the South.
Because there were northern states like Maine and Massachusetts that actually had slaves in servitude or people in servitude as indentured servants.
The North held on to their slaves the longest after the Civil War.
But they don't want to tell you that. They want to blame it all on the South because it will ruin their whole motif about the South being the only ones with slaves, and so they try to rewrite history, and that's another reason they try to tear down all these statues.
You gotta follow the money.
Oh yeah,
the money is the issue. These, like the Federal Reserve, you can't do an audit on the Federal Reserve because we don't own it. And when you start looking at the documentation that allowed the Federal Reserve to become the Federal Reserve, you just got to be like, holy biscuits, what the heck is going on?
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
You know, what are we doing there? But we should probably move on. So
Before we get assassinated
Uh,
by the people that run the Federal Reserve.
Gilmar Abrego Garcia. Remember this twat wagon?
Oh, that is the
Gilmore
guy that got
Gregor
sent down to.
That's the
Oh,
guy
it's-
that got deported to like Venezuela or
and it
Ecuador or
mistakenly,
whatever.
supposedly, or something like
It
that.
wasn't mistakenly. He is
Yeah.
a gang member.
Oh yeah, he's a criminal.
He's
But
a
the
criminal.
Democrats are praising him as
So he's
being
he's
an
back in the
innocent-
country, supposedly.
How that worked
What?
out.
I don't know how that worked out, but he's going through trial here. But the jail is like, oh, we want to release him.
No.
And his lawyers are like, no, don't release him, because if you release him, ICE will pick him up and deport him again.
Oh, they'll be waiting right outside that jail.
That's actually hilarious.
It is funny, but I mean, he's pending trial on human smuggling charges. This guy is guilty as guilty can get. You know, but yet they had to bring him back. So what I don't understand is, like, if you're a U.S. citizen, you have rights. If you're not a U.S. citizen, you have certain rights, you know, that are guaranteed to you. But you don't have all the rights as a U.S. citizen. There's only certain rights you have. And I'm like, you came into the country illegally. You broke the law. You broke a federal law. It's a felony. What you did. You committed a felony when you illegally came into this
Is it
country
okay to
without
put those
permission.
guys in the firing squad?
It's going
You
to
don't have
start
to worry
happening, I think.
You don't have to worry about them coming back that way.
I mean, what are you going to do with that?
Me either.
I mean, how are you going to? I mean, look at the amount of money that gets spent on social services in the billions every year from states and local municipalities and the federal government to support illegals living in this country. Healthcare, food, you know, all that. Crime.
I think Massachusetts, if I remember right, spent $830 million.
On illegals.
Yes. If I remember the state right.
And how does that get reimbursed? It's not. It's more tax dollars, more money you got to pay out. So, I don't know.
To me, we spent enough.
Any thoughts? Any thoughts there, Doc?
On tax dollars?
No, on this Garcia guy, Abrego Garcia, charged with 2 counts of federal prosecutors for
criminals are
conspiracy
criminals.
and smuggling.
My wife came to the country legally, and it cost me a lot of money to get her here. So I don't have a lot of respect.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I said, I remember I was talking about that and how much it was costing. And I had a crew of Mexican laborers.
$15,000.
Yeah, I had a crew of Mexican laborers that were all had their H-1 visas or something like that. It was a different visa that allowed them to come here and work.
Mm-hmm.
And they were upset because the amount of illegals that were in this country working illegally actually lowered their hourly pay rate. And they didn't like it. They absolutely hated it because these guys would come to the States, work for 6-8 months, go home, live like a king for 3 months, and then go back on the road to, you know, for another construction job. And they would do it legally every year. And he goes, it's now not getting worth it to do it because, well, 1, a cost of living, and 2, you know, that the price of their labor has gone down so much because of all the illegals that are working here.
Which is very unfortunate because it's been a political game for many years. And it's one side always blaming the other, or the other side blaming the other side. And it's always been like that. It's never been one group or another that stands up. So to give you an example, the law that Trump is using right now to deport people was actually put into place by Bill Clinton in 1995 or 1996. You can look it up. You can verify it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like the cage thing was done by Obama, caging them. and
Mhm.
separating the kids from the parents was another Obama law.
No, he
And
didn't.
yeah, that was
You're telling lies because you're a conservative.
yeah. So yeah, that was a
The man walks on holy water when he walks. Why would you say such things?
Excuse me, he's
Uh,
not Jesus. Never say that again.
don't forget the guys on horseback whipping the guys running the illegals
Oh
running.
yeah.
Don't forget that. But then they get a picture from the back of the same guy when it's his reins shot out to the sides. I love how they use camera. I'm having a little trouble here. The camera. I don't know what I did. I pressed a button and now my camera won't show back up. I don't know.
Well, we need the IT guy. I'm right
It says, yeah, okay. So IT guy on the bottom of the screen, you see where it says it has microphone and then the camera, and
Mhm.
and then I press on the thing. It shows my camera is checked, but I
Go
can't
through
get
all
it
three
to
options. I have like
Hit
the
your
Logitech
space bar.
space bar.
Is it your space bar? That's not it.
No, no.
So I hit my.
It says
space.
V. I'm trying B. V. No, nothing's working great.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. But
Now this says M, but M turns my or W. Maybe that's what it's. W. I don't know.
so the other thing in the news Trump also was talking about was he basically said these nuclear sites are just obliterated.
Good.
But I think all it does is just slow them down. You know, maybe the scientists that were working there got killed too. Has there been any reports about that? Because they usually all live on site.
Have you ever seen the Ginsu bombs?
Huh?
Have you ever seen our Ginsu Hellfire missile?
You're breaking up, dude.
Who?
Yeah, you're breaking. Oh, there you are. You just showed up.
Have you seen the Ginsu Hellfire missile?
I have seen the Ginsu. Yeah.
So let's be honest, then they don't care about the scientists because if they just wanted to take out the plant, they could use a Ginsu and take out the plant. Because if they can target it to one person, they can also target it to one facility. So they want to kill the scientists too.
They
You
didn't
chose
say
your
if all the
job.
scientists had gotten whacked.
Well, I mean, if you choose your job to be a terrorist or support terrorism or anything, and then you die, you chose your life. And it's just like us that went in the military. Some of our brothers die, but we chose what we did.
But a lot of these guys are civilians. They're not in the military. They're a civilian scientist working for the government of Iran. And they're sitting there sleeping away at night. And then a 30,000-pound bunker buster comes through their house and turns them into spaghetti. So
spaghetti, we like to call it pink mist, sir.
Yeah, it turns them into pink mist. And they probably had no idea it was coming.
Stealth bombers?
Well, I'm sorry.
Let me be honest.
They knew what they were doing.
Ranger.
There is a group of people in India that some people have convinced that they're not scamming people, but they call Americans all the time to steal money from them. And it's the same principle. God. You know what you're doing.
Oh my God, dude. Do I want to send a hit team in there so bad? And I want it to be filmed on national news, broadcast all around the country. I want to see a strike team go in with beams and everything going down and just start popping melons left and right. And then just go, thieves. They stole money and just kill them all.
You're too nice. Once again.
I don't care.
I would level the whole damn building.
But there's good people that work in that building. It's not the whole building. They're renting an office or a floor. The rest of the building's fine.
A good person knows. So what's that old the axis of evil? What's more evil than a good man that does nothing? If you're a good person and you live in that building or you work in that building, you're calling the police.
Which are doing nothing if you don't have evidence.
Hey, man, it seems like they're scamming people. Call the police anyways.
Yeah, the cops go. Well, the cops go there and they're not there because they work late at night because they're 18 hours away, And when they do start going, and the cops have busted some of these call centers. Don't get me wrong, but they never get the big cheese.
I think it's more fun to. You should go look on YouTube. There's some hackers that you can just build a simple Python program that sits and calls them all day long. There's one guy has a nice video. He calls them 26 times a second. Every time they answer, you are scammers. I will not stop until you stop. And they can't even call the cops on them because they're breaking the law. And one criminal can't call the cops on another criminal. It doesn't work like that. Excuse me, sir. This guy here is hacking our stuff because we're trying to scam people for money. How does that conversation go down?
Well, it doesn't go down because it's, it's like, they're not going to do anything. But
can you imagine the business owner writing it off as a tax write-off, though, for lost income?
He probably did. And what's crazy is some of these business owners that run these scam companies live here in America.
Oh,
Got multi-million-dollar homes.
Can we have them Halo jump without a mask?
That would be awesome. But so I just came across another news article. 3 of our canines got gifted bulletproof and stab vests today. So that's cool.
In Colorado Springs?
Yeah.
Well, that's always good, though.
It's always good when the police get body armor and the dogs get body armor. I like to see them dogs in body armor.
I would say, though, that if...
I just got one question.
Why is the dog
3A?
that fucking... Have you seen that video?
No.
Are those automatic weapons? It's like some government officials, and then the guy shout back, "Is that body armor 3A?" And then the federal guys are like, "Hey, guy, let's get out of here."
Yep. Ever since I got that new handgun, that's my favorite thing to say. Is that 3A?
Oh man.
Because it'll shoot through 3A. So hope you wear it level 4 because this is gonna hurt.
I mean, even if it doesn't hit through, it's still gonna hurt. Like shit.
So I got a 7.5 FK Bruno steel, and it will shoot through level 3A at 100 yards. It's nice.
You need a level 4A now.
Yeah, now you need level 4.
So
now you're going to be wearing level 4 everywhere.
If SWAT's coming in, they're just going to hit the house with the bazooka. Or...
Oh, they're just going to blow me up from air. They're not even gonna... They're like, this is an old crazy guy. Let's just flood the gas with. We'll flood the house full of flint gas.
You know what I was looking at the other day? I was looking at a nice 3D printer, but I just didn't like the price.
Yeah, what was the price?
$264,000. But it can print metal.
Who makes said printer?
But it can print metal.
Who makes the printer?
Let me see if I can find it again.
Is that one you lease?
No, that's total cost.
Can you lease it?
I don't know.
Some of those high-end printers, you don't buy them, you lease them.
Maybe it was Markforged. I sent the
Markforged. Yeah, you can actually lease those. But
I seen the price and
they're also going to tell you basically what you can and can't print.
I'm just going to be honest here. I'm finishing my CISSP, my certified ethical hacker. I'm going to go for the OSCP afterwards, offensive certified security professional. I'll just reprogram the damn thing if I ever have that kind of money, and they will not tell me what I can and can't print because I will make new firmware. And then, Sam, we were making all sorts of goodies. We're not going to talk about the goodies we're going to make. We're not going to sell the goodies we're going to make, but we'll make all sorts of goodies.
We'll make personal goodies.
Exactly.
Which is legal. It is legal.
It is. I'm agreeing.
Yeah. So did any of you guys bring news articles today?
My news articles are on my phone.
Yeah, what do you got?
Okay, local news articles from Virginia Beach, or do you?
No, like national news, like
national news. All right.
I'm pretty sure your national news reads Trump, 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 Trump.
He's
Because
probably not
you're-
kidding.
Because you're, which is, I don't care. I mean, if that's what we're talking about, we're talking about it. But
People are mad about that one guy that won in the New York City primary for mayor.
yeah, I got a news article here about an Alaska brown bear that has a smiley new tooth in northwestern or northeastern Minnesota at the Lake Superior Zoo. They gave him a silver-colored canine tooth.
Oh, here's one for you. The Trump administration said Wednesday that California violated Title IX by allowing transgender student athletes to compete on school sports teams that align with their gender identities.
Yes, but what are they going to do though?
I would
Yank their
assume
federal
like
funding,
Are they
that'd
gonna
be nice.
They're going to send
they're gonna
Pam
yank-
Bondi in.
they're going to probably yank their federal funding and any accolades or whatever during that time they're going to take. And then they're probably going to make them pay back any funding that they got at that time, which is going to hose the school.
Well, and then of course the court's going to get involved. And California is going to say, nope, it's okay. We agree to let girls pretend to be boys and boys pretend to be girls and play in sports.
It says that, but if the Supreme Court, the Title IX is a Supreme Court thing. And as much as California wants to say yes or no, at the end of the day, if the Supreme Court says that I can print rifles out of plastic in my house, for example, I don't do that, then it's okay. If the Supreme Court says I can drive down the road on the left side instead of the right, then it's okay. If the Supreme Court says I can go vote twice, then it's okay. Not saying that they're going to do any of those things, but once it's in the Supreme Court's hands and they make a decision, there's no going back. Like, let's look at, for example, Trump did ban bump stocks. He signed the law. The Supreme Court came back and said, yeah, can't do that because it's an accessory and you can't ban accessories. And now those are unbanned. And
yeah, which only 10 got turned in.
because people waited for the legal system because they challenged it.
That's like FRT triggers, the force reset triggers. Now the ATF has to give those back to the people that they confiscated them from.
Because
and then there's people that they prosecuted for having an FRT and saying it was a machine gun. Now they're going to have to reverse those. Hey, well, it wasn't a machine gun. It's not a machine
and give
gun.
them the money back and give them the lawyer fees and give them the fines and probably pay them for lost time. That's going to really suck.
Yeah.
There goes my tax dollars.
More tax dollars down the drain. Okay.
My news article is
You need to turn yourself up.
Seattle mayor and city council in Seattle, Washington have reinstated the being able to marry your pet or domesticated animal as long as you believe that it is a true spirit of a lost love, and it is done under the Gay Marriage Act. And you can marry your pet for a day. It is for a day. It's called marry.
You can marry your dog, your animal.
You can marry your animal in Seattle, Washington. The mayor kicked it off by with 4 couples marrying, including one person marrying their horse.
Well, they already been marrying their horse in Washington. I already seen videos.
It
said that
I'm at a loss for words.
Popular with the Christian right, and they lobbied and won a civil rights case saying that that is considered bestiality, and the courts shut it down because bestiality is against the law. You can't do it. It's against nature's law as well, and so therefore, you guys can. But they're back trying it again because you know how the Democrats love if it doesn't work the first 10 times. Let's try communism again. So why not try legalizing being married to your pet for a day? I guess
Seattle is messed up.
24-hour period.
California.
Hey, here's my problem with that. To be legally married, you have to consummate the marriage. How can you consummate the marriage if you can't have sex with the animal?
Well,
That
I'm just saying.
that is just so nasty.
Which part? Marrying the
All-
animal?
All of it. It's so gross. So gross. That's what's wrong with this world, man.
if it's under the LGBT Marriage Act, does that mean that a new LGBT flag has to be made for the with a picture of a horse on the front or something like that?
No, they gotta put a donkey because they're a bunch of jackasses.
Well, there was some talk within that community of they want to get rid of they just want to do LBG and get rid of the rest of it. A lot of them are like, hey, the trans thing's gone too far, the IQ plus whatever's have gone too far, and that's not where we want to be with the LBG, and those guys want to separate off now. Like they're done with the crazy.
What I don't understand is, and I've never understood this, okay, the bisexual part. So you're a dude and you go and have sex with another dude, that makes you gay. I mean, that basically, not even basically, you are gay. At that point, you have just sold yourself to the other side.
You're only gay if your balls touch.
And it sounds like you're just covering up.
Or if you back up. No, I don't understand it either, but I mean, that's just the way people are. And
I think that's where the whole identifying started, and then it just got way out of hand. But, well, do you know that I saw a thing on recently on the news, and they said that there are over 100 and worldwide there's over 149 LGBT flags, and for a different, and that some of them are just like there's gender awareness flags, there's LGBT ally flag, which is an A made with rainbow stripes and then black and white stripes outside of it to be like straight, because black and white is supposed to be straight. Get it? Black and white, straight. So, anyways, and then they have the Mexican one. They showed the Mexican one on the Mexico's is a rainbow flag with a red bone in the middle.
a red what?
A red bone, like a dog bone, like a leg bone. That it's the rainbow flag with a big red bone in the middle is theirs. And then the new pangender flag is a rainbow flag
this is too much
a
for me.
golden pea with a like two.
Did you learn all this in your DEI training?
No, I learned it on the news the other night when I was watching.
You sure it wasn't a DEI training class?
Maybe, possibly, I don't know.
I think it was.
It probably was, man.
The government.
Sorry about that a little bit ago. I lost signal.
Years. They had so many of those pinheads come down from DC to tell us. Well, I'm not with the federal government, but I'm being paid by the federal government to inform you. I'm like, how about this? Let me go work on that airplane over there, and you can talk all you want, and I'll run the jet engine so I can't hear you.
Man,
it's just it's absolutely ridiculous. These people. I passed by. Okay, so during the last year, the Biden administration, I passed by. I was in one of I had to deliver some papers to one of these buildings on post and base. They call it base. Army, we call it post. So. And they had these classrooms and conference rooms and on the first floor. I passed by one, and there was like all these officers. I don't know if they were line officers like on ships or if they were, pilots or what, but they were all in their dress whites, and they were they were having a class on gender identity and gender dysphoria. I just remember it was up on the screen. And the look on these people's faces, most of them men. There were some women in the class. But even the women just looked so on edge, like, I'm not comfortable with this shit. No one looked comfortable.
Well, the Navy had their own little trans dude.
Oh, yeah, the spokesperson, yeah.
Doing whatever they were doing.
He got fired and kicked out.
Yeah, well, good. And so should his boyfriend or whatever that was with him that was also in the Navy. But I don't understand that. I mean, look, I don't care if Stan and Dan want to do their homo thing and be married in the military. I don't care. But keep it to yourself.
Yeah. Don't ask, don't tell.
I don't tell you what I'd go do when I'm at home with my wife. So why would I want to listen to hear what you do with your husband, with your other husband? I really don't. I don't need to hear that crap.
It's like I've always said. You don't need all this. Okay. Now they got gay marriage. Okay, Obama forced that down our throats with Tiger Woods 9-iron. So it's basically like you got what you want. Okay, so enough with the gay pride month. Enough with the gay. Just be like the rest of us. Live in normal, quiet.
It used to be a day. Why is it a month now?
That was Obama. Somebody made
a month. We need a month to celebrate this.
It's the entire month.
Take a weekend, have a parade.
Still, you gotta speak up.
It's not. It's his mic. It's not picking up as loud.
He's not using the right mic.
Can you hear me?
You need to correct your mic. It's coming through your webcam and
it's
not
coming through your webcam. It's not coming through your headset.
It's coming through my web. Oh, hold on.
And
he keeps on talking.
So.
Oh yeah. I see. I got it.
Which I've said multiple times, Ranger, but you're not listening.
Can you hear me?
Bump.
Is that better?
I think that speed bump thing.
It sounds like you took the gay man out of your mouth, and we can hear you again.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can.
Is that better? All right.
It is
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, I just had to switch the sound. I didn't know it was even on my camera sound, so I had to turn off the
that
camera.
out.
Well, thanks for telling me this late into the program.
No,
things
it
I could have known at the beginning.
It happened when you dropped. I told you you were super quiet.
Okay.
You just kept going blah 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 blah.
They told you probably at least 3 or 4
Well,
times.
I couldn't hear him.
Well, I know because you wouldn't shut up.
Oh, get.
Well,
we love you, Steele. Steele,
It's
we love
when
you,
the
brother.
sergeant gets on his soapbox to get off.
You get on a soapbox, brother. You get on a soapbox.
Yeah, but at least I don't slip on the soap like you do.
Huh? Well, that's why I'm accident prone. But interesting story about being accident prone. Almost rolled my truck today.
Ooh, let's hear this one.
That was scary.
Were you on the mountain trail?
I was on my mountain trail and I'd weave through so I had a landing put in and they built a road and did the landing from where my cabin's going to be. So I was kind of weaving through my neighbor's property to get to the road that goes up to the landing. I took it a little too sharp, and I have talk about pucker factor. Everything went flying in the truck because I was on 3 wheels, about ready to go to 2 wheels and over, and it was sketch. I had to back out of there and jockey around and drive down the mountain and come back up. So I was going up the right way up the trail just to get the right angle to get on that trail. But got up there, dude, my landing's beautiful. I sent you pictures of the landing, but I got to put pictures up of the cabin landing. I can turn my truck around on the cabin landing. It's so big. I'm like, this is awesome. So I dropped off my first load of material up there. So some cinder blocks and some 4x4s. And the next time I go up, I'll take more 4x4s and more cinder blocks and metal parts.
I'm going to send you my 3D printer. I'm going to buy the concrete.
You got a tarp to keep all that wood covered.
I gotta get a tarp. But you know what? I have not seen a quality tarp out there. They're usually like this cheap plastic crap
Yeah,
Remember
you
the
know-
tarps your old man used to pull out of the
Oh, yeah,
out of
the canvas ones.
the
Those
canvas ones or
Yeah.
the really heavy rubber ones?
Oh yeah.
You can't find that stuff anymore. It's this cheap plastic junk. And, because I'm going to be building throughout the seasons, and I'm eventually going to get to the point where I'm going to need to tarp the roof, and, to keep the water out of the structure. But so I got to do some tarp shopping. On a sad note, though, I did have a friend die today, which kind of messed up my day, as it always does. So I guess his name was Jerome Long, and he had, I guess, a heart attack this morning, and that was it. Game over, buddy. So, send blessings out to him and his family and his kids, and wish him well. And if they need anything, just give me a call. They know the deal. But just sad to see him go, because I was, last night I was at work at the cigar lounge, and he came in and we had a couple cigars together and, talked about things, and then he left and he was doing great, looked healthy and fit going out the door. And then I get the phone call that he passed away. So, which did not help my driving skills on the mountain. Just saying. But it is what it is, I guess.
Oh, well, that sucks. My condolences to you and your friend's family. Yeah, cut down in the prime of life, it sounds.
He's our age.
Yeah, well,
He's our age.
it sucks. He's definitely cut down in the prime of life.
Yeah. He's got 2 kids. He's got two kids still in school.
Hey, Doc.
Mm-hmm.
Are we not in the prime of our lives right now? Is this
I don't
not?
know.
I can't tell. I think
like
Doc's
15.
dying because he
I'm
keeps
like
looking
50.
down.
I'm like 15 years younger than you.
Well, how old are you, Doc?
I'm not even 40 yet.
Oh, you're not? Well,
Yeah,
then
he's
you're
a youngin'.
definitely in the prime of his life when you
He's
got
a
all the energy
youngin'.
in the world.
He's a youngin'.
It's funny. My mom and I were talking about it when she was my age, what she used to make a year. She made like 16 grand a year. And
Good
I was
money
like,
back then.
Mom, I make that in 2 months.
Yeah.
Like, what's the world coming to?
Yeah, but what's the cost of living though?
It's probably went up more than the percentage and difference in
Oh,
her salary.
doubled or tripled since then.
No, you look at the cost of food back then. You look at the cost of fuel, the cost of a car, the cost of a house. You could buy a really nice house back then for under $12,000 to $18,000.
Oh, look at this.
I'm going to tell you, my mom was poor. My mom used to dig in the garbages at the grocery stores for food for us. My mom was poor.
Hey, in 1963, a lawyer, your average Joe Blow lawyer out there, made $8,000 a year. A lawyer, okay, an architect, $19,000 a year. All right, the president of the United States, $100,000 a year.
Yeah, he was getting overpaid.
And
They weren't any
in
good back then, and they still aren't.
1963, the cost, the highest appliance or highest costing appliance in your house was a television set.
Yep.
A television set cost more than a stove at that time.
Mm-hmm.
You could buy
they probably still work.
You could buy a luxury sedan.
Unlike the TV I bought 3 years ago that doesn't work, the one from 1963 would probably still turn on.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. You wouldn't. I mean, everything's HD now, so you probably wouldn't get a picture unless you got one that's converters on it. But
it's almost worth buying the converter. My kids
heck,
gotten into.
I still got one of those.
My kids gotten into all these old video games.
Yeah.
Like PS2, the little handheld things. And they're all from his sister, and he's finding them in my sister. He's going through my daughter's boxes in the closet, going, "Ooh, she left this here and she left this here," and he's like rezzing all this old equipment. back to life. And so I have to order batteries and cables and things to adapt it to HDMI so he can play on it. But it's pretty fun.
Why don't you whip out the old Commodore 64?
I have it. It's
Oh
in the
my God, I
garage.
used to have one of those.
I was gonna say
I still have one.
you still have one. They didn't take
I-
it away when you
I
had
still
your
have an
return
old
to the airport?
Odyssey
Got that one
2
back.
in my closet. Do you remember those from back in
Which
the
one?
day before the Atari's truck? Odyssey 2?
No.
It was pre-Atari. It was like 1978, I believe they came out with it was called Odyssey 2. It had like a handful
when
of
the
games.
trash
Look it up.
80s came
Just
out?
look it up. It wasn't a big thing, and then Atari came and blew it out of the water, and they you know the competition.
Well, I think
Atari is
wasn't
too
our
much.
Atari when they went to it was 8-bit graphics or something like that back then. It
Yeah.
was crazy. And because they had all those colors. And then there was another one, not the Odyssey, but there was another one that was all had a crazy color scheme to it.
Odyssey 2.
I think it started with something else. But guys, we got to get out of here. Thanks for spending the hour with us. Really appreciate it. If you want to go to our sponsor, Ruthless Rusters down there, put in the Verms fan -RR10 for your 10% discount. Yes, I know it's written in French, but I got the message last minute that Verm was not going to be here, so I had to rush in and change all the things around and from the other show that we do that's in French. So,
Do you actually participate in that show?
I do not because I don't know parlez-vous français.
Why don't you go in there and maybe we'll learn something?
I need to learn some French.
Merci
I need to-
beaucoup.
Bonjour and au revoir and
I
see
need to
you
learn
later.
French. I need to learn French. So that way when I
Merci.
go up to Canada and I'm in the French part of French, I can speak French and understand what they're telling me.
You just
I
gotta
think it
freestyle.
always goes easier when you go to visit a country to try to learn some of their language. That way you're not a total heathen. But
I've
Also, the
been
other
to
thing-
Italy and I didn't learn their language. I guess I'm a heathen
You're a
and I'm
heathen.
half Italian.
And but also the other thing is go out to vermlandradio.com. You can go out to our swag shop, buy some swag, and you can all that money goes back into the station, back into program software, all that stuff, upgrading mics. And we really appreciate that. And we will see you guys next week on Wednesday. And hopefully Verm will be back. He's doing a lot of rodeo stuff lately. Hopefully Steele will be back. I hope he's back in the loop. And we will see you, Doc.
Without being in work, I have nothing else better to do.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it. It's nice to have you back. And
Yeah, it's
Truck
good to
Sam
be back.
and Doc Fallujah, thanks for showing up today.
Yeah.
And